Singularity.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Singularity One-on-One. Singularity One-on-One is a regular podcast feature of Singularity weblog, where you can go and listen to it or download it in full. My name is Nicola, aka Socrates, and as always, I will be the man with the questions. Today, my guest on the show is Marco Santini. Hi, Marco, and welcome to the show.
Hello, Nicola. Nice to meet you.
Finally, excellent. So, Marco Santini would be basically helping me launch a series of podcast interviews with some not so well known science fiction authors that I believe deserve to have the spotlight on them and on their work. So, without further ado, let's launch into the interview here. Marco is the author of two fantastic books. One is called The Alpha Centauri, and the other is called Evolution. So, Marco, let's start with the first book. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about Alpha Centauri and what it is all about?
Yes, okay. 5 years ago, I wrote the Alpha Centauri Project with the intent of spreading the principles and ideas of transhumanism, as well as trust in a future dominated by disruptive technologies. For this reason, I had the novel translated into English, Spanish, French, and Italian. Soon, a version in Portuguese will be produced. The story is set in 2300 in a period dominated by epoch-making events. The digital beings are going to sail with 3 huge vessels towards Alpha Centauri. They will pursue their own destiny by spreading into the universe while leaving the Earth to the humans. In this context, dramatic events will take place. A digital historian records the events from a singularity, which is supposed to happen in 2047 to 2300, the period of the story. The main characters, Eve and Victoria, are souls, that is, humans whose brain was digitized after death, who progressively transcend their earthly nature. This is the Alpha Centauri Project. There is another book, which is more recent, which is Evolution, the Future.
Yeah, let me stop you here for a second and say that first, the Spanish translation, or I should say not the translation, but the preface to the Spanish edition of your book was written by one of my friends and previous guests on the show, Jose Cordero.
Yes.
So, and your book's already been translated into how many languages?
Till now 4. It is going to be translated in Portuguese too in a few months.
In Portuguese too. And I think it's another friend of mine, online friend from a Facebook group that I'm a member of, Vanderlei Martianos. Is that the gentleman who is helping you translate that, or am I mistaken here?
No, it is the translator of the Portuguese edition is Isabel Rocha.
Oh.
She's a Brazilian.
I see. Yes, Vanderlei is another Brazilian, but obviously I'm mistaken here.
Yeah.
So apologies for that. Now, Marco, I know that by education you're actually an engineer and you hold an MBA in business, if I'm not mistaken, right?
That's right. Rochester, New York.
Yes, in fact, just a few hours driving away from me. So why don't you share with us the story of how and why an engineer decided to start writing science fiction novels?
The main reason was that I wanted to write modern science fiction. That is science fiction based on futuristic ideas. So the main point is to produce something which is in line with the major scenarios produced by futurist movements, and in particular by transhumanism. That is, writing science fiction, the idea is to write about the science of tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. And why in particular transhumanism? What makes transhumanism such a great topic for you? And To begin with, how and why did you discover it in the first place?
Transhumanism for me is a very important movement because it it is one of the most important movements of today, and it will be probably of the next future because it is something that is between the present and the future. It embraces what happens today, and it embraces what will happen in the next years, and it has the great opportunity of changing the world, the future, as man wants.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to participate in this great trend.
I see. And how did you discover transhumanism for yourself? And obviously got very inspired by the idea.
Actually, first I wrote the Alpha Centauri Project. Then I entered in contact with transhumanism first through Wikipedia, because it is a great source of information. Yes. And after that, through Facebook.
I see.
And there I met my friends, my transhumanist friends. Actually in Milan from 2010, some important meetings were all held. The Transviso meeting in Milan, where I had the opportunity of meeting Giulio Prisca and Riccardo Campa, who organized the event. In that occasion, I also met Marta Rossi from iLabs. iLabs is a research institute located in Milan focused on scientific, technological, and philosophical issues related to singularity. In March 2011, I participated in the Singularity meeting in Milan with Ray Kurzweil and Aubrey de Grey. On that occasion, I had the opportunity of knowing Gabriele Rossi, a co-founder of iLabs, who spoke about the scale of values in a semi-mortal society. And I found his speech very, very interesting. Actually, I found some points so similar to what I described in the novel that I asked her daughter, Marta Rossi, to write the preface of the Italian edition of the Alpha Centauri Project, and she did it.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. And there was somebody else who is well known in community from Mexico who wrote a preface, I think, for one of the other editions. Is that for your new book, Evolution?
Lilia Molares Imori made the translation of the Alpha Centauri Project, and she
into
made
Spanish.
Into Spanish,
yeah.
And she made also a translation for Evolution of the Future. She made also 2 fantastic covers. And the second one is an eye gazing, a transhuman eye gazing into the future, which is very evocative.
Yes. I'm actually planning to attach the cover to this interview. Okay. So she was both the sort of the artist behind the cover images and also the translator. That's very interesting. So Marco, why don't you tell us a little bit more about your second book, Evolution, and how is it different from the Alpha Centauri Project?
Yes, in August of this year, we wrote Evolution of the Future with the objective of reaching a wider public. The first novel was created to face some important issues about transhumanism through some chapters where an historian described the story between today and 2300. It appeared to be a little complicated for some people. So I thought to write the story only with the chapter of suspense and action. And this was quite interesting because I received many good opinions by a lot of people and many likes. And this means that I succeeded in diffusing the ideas and principles of transhumanism. In the end, I also put a vast bibliography with Kurzweil.net, with Singularity Weblog 2 with the AT, etc. So all the people interested can immediately search for information in these sites.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
yes,
go ahead. Go ahead.
The second point is that I focused on the transformation arc of the main characters. The heroes are two women, Eve and Victoria. Eve is a strong personality devoted to the progress of the digital people. She commits suicide when charged with bribery, and her brain is digitized, she reaches nets, and overcoming her disenchantment, she will be able to contribute in the development of the virtual world. Victoria is the other hero of the story, and she meets regularly her earthly boyfriend in the virtual world, and she reveals a passionate temperament. The two women meet in net, they get involved more and more in the life of the digital community, they discover the scale of values of this kind of semi-mortal society, and finally they merge their existence with the destiny of their new race.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you another thing. There is a third character who is very important, and it is the digital people. The digital people searching for self-realization. And it expresses itself through the events and through the scale of values that permeates the book.
Very interesting. And I mean, I do know that you have been successful in bringing attention to your book at a number of levels by a number of people who are well known in the community. And there's a number of people who have read your book and really enjoyed it. So this is actually one of the reasons why I invited you on the show.
Thank you.
Because I believe you do deserve even more attention than what you're getting right now. But let me move away a little bit from the specifics around the books and ask you a little bit more general question about the connections between science fiction and science. How do you see that relationship in your view?
Science fiction has something to do with futurism. That is, it takes the modern theories and the modern scenarios that are imagined by futurists and creates in those environments some intriguing stories that can catch the attention of the common people. And this is a very important way to diffuse transhumanistic ideas and ideals.
Mm-hmm. And so in that sense, what do you think is the purpose or the point of science fiction, or perhaps the point of your own science fiction? Is it to spread transhumanism, or is it more general than that?
There are several points. The idea is one idea is to spread ideas and principle of transhumanism. Another objective, let's say, is to spread trust in a future dominated by disruptive technologies. This means that if we can organize or prepare the future according to some step in an organized way, we can be confident that we can have a success. The third thing is to make a story which is intriguing, which is catching, which is interesting, that make people dream and participate in the change.
That's very interesting. So you want to sort of create optimism, and you want to help people dream and believe that those dreams can actually come to be. So let me ask you this then. Do you think that science fiction for the last 200 years, maybe since the time of Frankenstein, has been kind of negatively predisposed, a lot of apocalypse, a lot of dystopia, a lot of end of the world kind of scenarios?
There is a lot of that in classic science fiction. But time has come to make things different and to open, pessimistic scenarios can always exist, but with rationality, optimistic scenarios can be created.
Mm-hmm. So, Marco, there's another thing which is very interesting about your books, and that's the fact that they are disseminated for free. So, let me ask you this then. Why did you decide to make all your books available for free?
I believe that open source and connection and sharing is one of the main points of the exchange of the future exchange of ideas. It was the right way to diffuse the good ideas to most people all over the world. For example, I have several readers in India. They are people who have just a small computer and they have a very slow internet. But in this way, at almost no cost, they can start to dream and they can start to think and they ask questions to themselves. And they get enthusiastic by this.
Oh, that's fantastic. Actually, that's the very same idea. That's the very same reason that I keep my show free. Despite suggestions from numerous people that I should make it cost, 99 cents per episode or something like that. And the reason why I haven't done so is precisely what you said, is I want to make it as widely available as possible. Right. So even though making money is nice, the bigger goal, the more important goal, in my opinion, would be to have a positive impact on the world, to create that influence in a positive way and help people dream big, new, amazing dreams and inspire them to move on. And what better way to help a couple of people in India to see the possibilities of the future and perhaps they would build them tomorrow. Well, they would make them reality.
Nicola, probably it is more than a couple of people. They told me that it was almost all one campus was interested in this thing.
Oh yeah,
so it is a good idea. This
fantastic. Yes, I meant it. I didn't mean it literally. I meant it figuratively. Like a few people.
Yes, I understand.
Because the history of the world has been changed by a small number of people in the past. Only a few people with strong ideas who take action are able to change the world.
Yes, exactly. And actually, free information has a big added value. And it is the added value of the big numbers of readers, of audience, etc.
Mm-hmm. I see. So let me ask you this then. What's next for Marco Santini after these two books? Do you have a plan for a third book or another?
No, for the moment, no. I have to get inspired and I have to find motivation. I shall see.
I see. So you kind of you're one of those people who sort of works only under the influence of inspiration.
Yes, under the influence of inspiration and rationality, because we have objectives. So objectives there are objectives that when reached they become obsolete, and we have to find new objectives. So I have to focalize on something new.
Mm-hmm. Marco, where can people go and find more about you and your books?
They can go on Smashwords. It is sufficient they digit Marco Santini or one of the titles of the two books, and they will find them in the 4 languages immediately.
Yeah, that's actually another fantastic thing. Not only that your books are free and available to download by anyone, but they're also available in a number of different languages, which manages to go through another barrier, which is the language barrier. So if those people don't speak English, but speak Italian or Spanish or Portuguese, etc., they can still read it in their native language. And that's also another fantastic way of disseminating transhumanist ideas.
Yes, and they are, thanks to Smashwords, they're also available in many book formats. Kindle, EPUB, etc. PDF, classical.
Fantastic. Marco, I think we are coming towards the end of our interview here. But before we go, let me ask you this. what is the major message, the main thing that you would like our viewers and listeners to take away from this interview with you today?
Well, this is the subject of the book, one of the subjects. That is, there is a lot of space for optimism in the future.
There's a lot of space for optimism in the future. That's fantastic. And so you are basically permeating and spreading the idea of optimism against...
Yes, it is a rational optimism, of course.
Oh, and even rational optimism, that's even better. So it's not an empty sort of faith-based optimism, but it's rational, scientific one. Is that the case?
Yes, that's the case.
And what do you say to the cynics or the pessimists who say that, look, the world is going to hell in a handbasket, you know? Look at the Middle East is falling apart. In Italy, you have, you know, earthquakes. You have prime ministers that are involved in all kinds of scandals. In the United States, you have, you know, the Sandy hurricane, which destroyed New Jersey. You have all kinds of scandals around politicians. You have violence. You have all kinds of trouble. We are worse in any way possible than ever before. What do you say to those people?
Well, there are big problems, but there are also big challenges. For example, Singularity University is working on the great challenges, which are simply fantastic. This means that the potentiality of a human being is enormous, is unimaginable for most of the people. And actually, if we put together the right message with the rationality and the right organization, I believe that almost any objective we can imagine and we cannot imagine can be reached.
Singularity.